If you are not on target to hit your number this year, this is the whiteboard session for you. Ultimately, here's the challenge. We have reps that are out there and they're missing their number. And the reason why they're missing their number is either because you, as a sales leader, are setting the numbers too high. You're setting unrealistic targets. You're not using data to inform the realistic number for the territory that the rep is operating in. So that's number one challenge. Number two challenge, your team doesn't have the right process or systems in place in order to go after their number, go get their number. Here's what we can do about it. If you are interested in hitting your sales targets, I'm going to map out how I do this with teams and with individuals and how I apply it to our business. This is how we go out and attack the number that we're going after. Now, here's the biggest challenge with sales, and this is why it's not for everybody. And it's sales success, anybody who has a number that is hung on their head, a number that they need to cover, a quota, a target. Number one, understand what the number is. So do we know the number? Is there a high level of clarity around what that number is? Is it a single number? Is it multiple numbers? Is there a view around what percentage of this number needs to be new versus add-on? Is it all one number? My preference is every dollar is a good dollar. Whether it comes from new or it comes from add-on business, every dollar is a good dollar. So what is our number? Is that number a sales number? Is it a revenue number? Is it a gross profit number? What is that specific number? We're going to focus on sales targets, sales numbers, the amount that is on the contract when that contract is signed. And more specifically, we're going to focus on the contract signature amount at an annual basis, not total contract value. Okay? We're focused on this single year. So sales targets for the single year. I've got to have our number. Once I have that number, the next thing I want to understand is what are going to be my pathways to achieve the number. How am I going to organize all of my work? And I like to use buckets here. How am I going to organize all of my work to get here? What can I do to hit that number? Are there three distinct pathways that I can find to achieve the number? The math may not work for you. The volume may end up just being too high. If you find out that the volume is too high, maybe the number is too high, and then you've got to revisit whether or not that's even the right number. Let's just assume that the number has already been set. There's nothing you can do to change it. Let's figure that this number, we're going to use some simple math here. Let's figure that this number is 1.2 million. 1.2 million in sales, okay? You can move that decimal point wherever you want. Move it to the left, move it to the right, increase the number, decrease the number. We're going to do this just because the math will help be a little bit simpler as we kind of look at monthly numbers, quarterly numbers, and break these numbers down into three different areas. Let's say that my average deal size on the enterprise side, large size customer, like big customer, is around 500K. Annual ACV, annual 500K. How many of those deals do I need to get done to cover my number? Simple math. I need to get 3 of these deals. I need 3 500K deals to hit that number. Now, let's say that I also have a part of the business where on initial entry into the business, deal size is around 100K. I need to get 12 of those deals to hit that number. Again, hit the number or exceed the number. I understand 500 times 3 is 1.5 million. Work with me, please. 500K, 100K. And then let's just say that there's a version of a deal, new product that we're getting ready to launch out into the marketplace, something new that we're putting out there that we're testing that is somewhere in the neighborhood of 50K. All right, so I need 24 of those deals. That's one way to look at the math. One version of looking at the math is here relative to how I'm going to cluster the specific deal sizes. I'm not getting into anything around whether or not those are new customers or growth within existing customers. I'm just focused on what kind of deal sizes do I need to work on at this point in time. The next thing I want to understand after I go through this is in any given period of time, how many deals do I need to be working to get 3 of those 500K deals? Now, for me, back in my enterprise days, a long, long time ago, I always had to have 5 deals that were sitting out there. I knew those 5 deals by June of the current year relative to what I was going to be focusing time, energy, and attention on for the next year. And if 3 of those deals came together, we were going to have a really good year. We'd probably do something else to the house, or we go on a really good vacation. If 2 of those deals come together, I live to fight another day. Know what your numbers are. You might need 5, you might need 7. Let's just say 5 to 7 here. Let's say on the 100K side, we might need 2x that, so 24 on that side. And then on the 50K side, I don't even know how you would end up doing the math on this, but let's just, and this is where the math is going to get really, really weird, and people are going to struggle with it, and I get it. You've got to know your math. You're breaking it down into, number 1, what's my number? Number 2, what's my approach? How will I get there? And then number 3, what's the actual numbers that need to play out over the course of a period of time in order for me to actually get to that thing? I'm just working backward from the target to help build this out. So 500K, 100K, and 50K. And let's just say that on the 50K, I need 75 of those. Call it 3x. Across this, now we're talking about, over the course of a year, about 105 to 107 deals. All right, here's the thing. You look at your CRM over the course of the last couple of years and ask yourself, how many deals did you create over that period of time? How many deals are you going into the year with? How long does it take you to build a deal? What's your sales cycle on the deal? If you want to go back in and look at sales process stuff, take a look at the video from last week around building your sales process on Whiteboard Wednesday. Go through, and once I know these numbers, this is basically getting 2 new deals per week on a 52-week year. That may be realistic for you. It may not be realistic for you. If you're starting new into a role, I'm going to say this is super unrealistic for you because you're going to have this ramp time. So if you come in with a full quota into an organization, they're expecting you to hit this in that 12-month period, your expectations may be off from a leadership perspective. Push back, ask questions, get an understanding of where how the math worked to get to that number. And ultimately what you're going to find out is some leaders just kind of go finger in the air and they pick that number. There's a couple of ways to go about doing it, and we can get into that around a business planning discussion. Just contact me directly. I'm happy to answer specific questions around it. Maybe I'll put it into video content. Here's the thing. I've got my number, I've got my how structure, and then I've got the targets I've got to hit. I have to be realistic about where those are. Ideally, if I'm going into the next year, I have a number of these that I've already been working on. So maybe I'm already working on 25 to 30, maybe 40 deals that are out there at any stage inside this grouping that may or may not come together before the end of the year, but they're still in progress. Use that to subtract from your 105 to 107 and start to say, here's where my targets are. Now, here's the thing to remember. You're still going to have to do this again next year. All right. Structurally, what we have here, though, is we have 3 pathways to hit the number. This all looks really good on a whiteboard and can look really cool in a spreadsheet. But the real work happens when you go to market and start having the conversations directly with customers inside the market space. If you have a 6-month sales cycle, and organizations typically make decisions when a compelling event happens, like a fiscal year, new budget becomes available, take a look at which of these companies you're putting into that bucket and align those with fiscal years and align them with the sales cycle and align them with the timing on you being able to get your deals done this year. Keep building up that pipeline over a period of time, because as you build your book of business, hitting that target, and your target's going to go up, but hitting that target with 3 large accounts every year and then having each of these contribute to going over the number can be a super interesting thing that happens. The big challenge that we run into is the tenure of a VP of sales continues to shrink. I've heard the numbers as low as 14 months based on some of the data that was shared at GTM 2025, the Pavilion event. As a rep, you're pushing against a really, really hard thing. VP of sales tenure is shrinking. You are playing a long game inside the organization, but the person you're working for may or may not be there for the long term. Understand whose priority you're focused on right here. Build out your plan that you can go and execute as an individual rep, and then go out and make that work happen. 3 pathways to achieve the number. Make sure your math works out. If any one of these 3 pathways ends up hitting, we hit the number. If 2 of the 3 partially hit, we likely hit the number. It's going to be rare that any of those 3 don't hit at all if you take this approach. Here's the problem I see that happens. Everybody goes all over the place and they treat every deal the same. They don't structure their time, energy, and attention on building singles, doubles, triples, home runs, and grand slams. Build those out. Understand your timeline. Your variables are the number, the amount, the dollar sign, the number of deals, and the amount of time, let's put a clock here, the amount of time that it takes those deals to go in throughout the process. And if you work through that, you can build a plan that you can execute. Or you can identify that there's no plan to be had and you can start to make a change. But don't go in there expecting someone to change your number, because that number probably has already been established. Push back and ask questions. Don't go in there expecting to change the number. Put together your plan based on what needs to be true so that I can hit this target. Once you have this piece, then you can start to build out your game plan, strategy, and tactics, game plan related to each of these individual subcategories. So what's my strategy? How? Relative to the 5 to 7. And then what's my what? My metrics, daily, monthly, weekly, that align with those. And that is ultimately the game plan. And if you have questions around the game plan, take a look at the video from yesterday around the example that I showed around fitness perspective. It applies here too. If you'd like to work with someone directly on this, hit me up at coachsimmons.com. If you are looking for your catalyst, you can find your catalyst at findmycatalyst.com. Know somebody who would find this useful? Please share it. Have a question? Hit me up in the comments. Thanks.